There's a piece making rounds on X right now, written by someone deep inside Anthropic's engineering team, already pulling over 4 million views. It explains exactly what changed under the hood at Claude Code, and understanding those changes means your workflow runs quicker, your bills shrink, and your agent setup gets a real upgrade. I went through the whole thing so you don't have to, and what follows are 6 major takeaways, some of which contradict what we've all been telling each other for months. Stay till the end. I'll also hand you a ready-made skill that puts all of this into practice automatically. The author is Tarek, a name you'll recognize if you follow Anthropic closely. His article, The New Rules of Context Engineering for Claude 5 Models, has only been live a few days and is already near 4.3 million views, traction that usually means people are finding real value in it, and after reading it, I agree. Here's the foundation: context engineering. Even if the term sounds unfamiliar, you've probably already been doing a rough version of it without naming it. Whatever prompt you type into Claude is a tiny fraction of what shapes its response. The bulk of output quality comes from everything surrounding that prompt. I call this the ARMS framework. A is apps, whatever tools you've wired in through MCPs, APIs, or CLIs. R is routines, your recurring scheduled tasks. M is memory, every artifact, report, or document the system has accumulated. S is skills, the repeatable playbooks you trigger with a single command. Get this structure right, and you're already operating at a level most people never reach. Why does this matter more now? Because the models have gotten dramatically smarter, and that changes what kind of context structure works. Tarek's data point. Anthropic deleted over 80% of Claude Code's original system prompt for Opus 5 and Fable 5, and coding benchmarks didn't drop. 0 measurable loss. For perspective, Opus 4, released barely a year ago, scored only 31 on the Artificial Analysis Index, a respected benchmark backed by people like former GitHub CEO Nat Friedman and ex-Google Brain lead Andrew Ng. Today, Opus 5 and Fable 5 top that same leaderboard at 60 acts, basically double the intelligence in 12 months. So what actually changed in practice? 6 things. First, less rulebook, more trust. Early on, Claude Code needed strict boundaries because the models weren't reliable enough to be given freedom. Things like banning code comments outright or forbidding long doc strings. That level of control now actively holds back smarter models. The updated instruction is far looser. Write code that blends naturally with whatever style already surrounds it. I use this idea outside of coding too. I built a skill called Surprise Me, which tells Claude to bring its own creative instincts to front-end design instead of following a rigid brief. What comes out: kinetic dot animations, interactive origami-style layouts, expressive typography, wouldn't exist if I'd boxed it in with strict rules. Second, fewer examples, stronger frameworks. Anthropic found that showing Claude specific examples actually narrows how creative it's willing to get. I've built this into my own workflow through a skill called /robo, which points to a brand book file laying out our colors, tone, and typography. No repeated examples, just a defined creative space Claude operates freely within. Third, load context only when needed, not all at once. Claude Code's early prompt crammed every detail in from the start. Now, smarter models handle progressive loading well, pulling relevant information only when required. My own Claude.md file works purely as a router across close to 57,000 files, directing Claude toward the right branch, content, community, product, or business. This isn't just tidier, it cuts token costs, since a heavy Claude.md eats your budget the second any session begins. Fourth, simpler tool descriptions work fine now. Older models struggled with context rot, paying more attention to recent messages than earlier ones, meaning constant repetition to stay understood. That's largely unnecessary now. Anthropic removed duplicate tool instructions that lived in both the system prompt and individual tool descriptions. Fifth, memory increasingly saves itself. What once required manually telling Claude to remember something now often happens automatically. That said, I still find value in flagging important sessions explicitly. My /calibrate skill, run at the end of most sessions, reviews what happened and updates skills. Claude.md, memory files, and workflows accordingly. Sixth, Markdown alone isn't enough anymore. It's still essential for things like Claude.md and skill definitions, but newer models process much richer formats. HTML artifacts, like that brand book I mentioned, communicate things Markdown can't. Visual color swatches, layout, interactivity, while staying just as readable to the model underneath. The good news, Anthropic already built tooling around this. Updating Claude Code gives you /doctor, a command that scans your install for broken paths, clears out unused skills or MCP servers, trims a bloated Claude.md, flags slow hooks, and reports it all before making changes. When I ran it, my setup came back mostly clean with a few optional cleanups suggested.